He just put out a truth statement. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to look at it. But I was just talking with the president and the Secretary of State and the Vice President, and it was a very good and productive call. It lasted more than 2 hours. There were various issues that were discussed. President Putin congratulated President Trump for solving the conflict in Israel and Gaza and bringing peace back to the Middle East. He also thanked the First Lady for her efforts to bring back children and save children in this brutal conflict. And the president feels like great progress was made on this call. They also agreed to have a high-level senior staff meeting convened as early as next week.
It paints an image of the U.S. not as a divided nation under shutdown, but as a global peacemaker, a nation still capable of influence and compassion on the world stage. But here's where it gets more interesting. The call wasn't just symbolic. The two leaders reportedly discussed hosting a high-level summit, possibly in Budapest, to continue the talks. A meeting that could include not just Trump and Putin, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as well. Now, let's be honest, getting Putin and Zelensky in the same room is no small feat. The world has watched that relationship unravel since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and yet here's Trump suggesting it could happen. Is this the bold diplomacy his supporters admire, or is it an overreach in the middle of domestic chaos? That's the question everyone's asking tonight.
Made for the Russian side and our folks, led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, to meet, and then for President Putin and President Trump to perhaps meet again. But I don't think the president has closed the door on that at all.
And when is Putin? You said in Hungary, possibly when?
Well, this call literally just happened, so we will provide you with more details as soon as we can, I promise.
On that call, did Vladimir Putin commit to sitting down with President Trump and President Zelensky?
He committed to sitting down with President Trump, as President Trump's truth post put out for you.
And what do you say what it would take for him to be willing to sit down with Zelensky finally as well?
I don't want to get into that, but as I just said, the president and President Putin discussed meeting together in Budapest, and President Trump will talk about that opportunity with President Zelensky when he's here at the White House. And Zelensky when he's here at the White House tomorrow.
Leavitt's frustration was palpable as she listed the growing fallout, thousands of flights delayed or canceled, TSA agents and air traffic controllers working without pay, and military families wondering how long they can hold on. The president found creative solutions to keep our troops paid, she said, her tone defiant. And rather than thank him, Democrats want to sue him for it. It's the kind of statement designed to make headlines, fiery, confident, and meant to rally the base. But beyond the politics, the reality is grim. Every extra day of the shutdown means deeper strain down, means deeper strain on families, tighter budgets, and a loss of faith in Washington's ability to function. Now let's take a step back. 16 days without a functioning government in the middle of major global crisis is not just a logistical problem, it's a message to the world. It tells allies and adversaries alike that America's internal battles are weakening its credibility abroad. Think about it, while President Trump is negotiating peace with Putin, his own country is partially paralyzed. Can diplomacy really thrive when your domestic house is on fire? That contradiction is what makes the story so fascinating and so dangerous. Leavitt's defense of the administration was fierce. She painted Trump as a leader working tirelessly to solve problems both at home and abroad, while Democrats, she claimed, voted 10 times to keep the government closed. That line alone will dominate the news cycle. But her criticism of a federal judge, calling him a far-left partisan, adds fuel to an already raging political fire. It's more than a shutdown now. It's a showdown over authority, legality, and power.
Terrorists who are trafficking drugs illegally to the United States of America. That's who we're in a conflict with. And the president's been very clear, and he's been very transparent about these strikes, releasing classified video, unclassifying that video, declassifying it rather for all of you to see, and to let the public and lawmakers know with each of these strikes. And there should be no surprise for this. The president campaigned on using every lever of power to go after the drug cartels who have been trafficking illicit poison into our country for far too long. And you heard the president speak about this yesterday. There was a question about why not just use the Coast Guard to grab these boats and grab the drugs on them. That's been going on for years and years, and the drug epidemic in this country has not gotten any better. The cartels have only gotten more powerful. So the president is taking these unprecedented steps, and it's making a real impact. We are seeing less boats with lots of drugs coming into the shores of the United States of America as a result of these successful strikes, and I think the American people can expect them to continue.
Leavitt's strongest moment came when she pushed back against a court ruling that temporarily halted Trump's layoffs of federal employees. Her voice sharpened as she called the judge, another far-left partisan, claiming he was the same one smacked down by the Supreme Court in July. That line wasn't just a defense. It was a shot fired. The president has the legal authority to hire and fire within the executive branch, she said, doubling down on Trump's power to act decisively. Whether you agree with her or not, it was a textbook display of political confidence, a press secretary who knows her words are ammunition in a bigger war. And make no mistake, this is a war of narratives. On one side, the administration is portraying Trump as a leader trying to keep America running, finding creative solutions to pay troops and fund essential services. On the other, Democrats and critics see a president overstepping boundaries, using executive authority to mask poor planning and political pressure. Somewhere in the middle are millions of Americans caught in the crossfire, waiting for paychecks, watching the drama unfold on TV, wondering when Washington will remember who it's supposed to serve.
So glad you asked, because I have a very strong response. This is another far-left partisan judge who was smacked down by the Supreme Court in July for ruling on this exact same thing. In May, this judge tried to say that the President of the United States does not have the executive authority to hire and fire in the executive branch. Literally, nobody would ever try to make that argument except for someone who is extremely partisan. And of course, the Supreme Court rejected that ruling in July, and they said, no, the president does have the ability and the legal authority to fire people from the federal government. That is a responsibility of his job as the head of the executive branch. And so you have the same judge going back to the bench and ruling on the basis of politics. We are 100% confident we will win this on the merits of the law, and these layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of the government shutdown. We are now on day 16 of this Democrat shutdown. Democrats just voted again for the 10th time to keep the government closed and to keep the American people hostage. And we're seeing the consequences of it every day. We've had thousands of flights delayed and canceled. Air traffic controllers, TSA agents continue to work without pay. The president tapped into tariff revenue to keep WIC money for women and infants and children going out the door. The president, it found a creative solution to keep the troops paid. And rather than congratulate the president for doing that, this unprecedented action to get our troops paid, the Democrats want to sue him for it. They're saying that it's illegal. This just shows they don't care about the people who are hurting. They are shutting down the government purely for partisan politics because they don't like Donald Trump. And the only people that are suffering from that are federal government employees who are being laid off from their jobs, who are not being paid for their jobs, our military, our federal law enforcement, and the American people who can't catch a plane with holiday season coming up because flights are being delayed and canceled. Democrats need to do the right thing. And I don't know if you guys caught the CNN town hall last night with AOC and Bernie Sanders, but I sure did. And it's very clear that they are now the leaders of the Democrat Party. And the Democrats are in complete disarray. And we hope a few moderate Democrats with some common sense will step up to the plate and do the right thing to vote to open the federal government.